Okay, so today I wanted to get some real-time filming of me talking about basically just what I'm going to do, since at this point, or rather from this point on, all of my art is essentially being created as it's being filmed? No, that's not right. I'm putting it out the day I do it. That's what I was trying to say. And I wanted to start with one of my most recent inspirations. A little while ago, I wanted to start writing a list of things that I should get before I leave my room. I have a lot of memory problems, and speech problems, apparently. So this is kind of like a stationery that I wanted to start off making for myself that was June-based, since that's my birth month. And so it's got, okay, well, these aren't actually the flowers, okay? But it's got daffodils, roses, etc. But I kind of wanted to do it for every month. And so I'm starting with January, even though it's February. But just know that if I didn't start with January, I couldn't do any of them. So that's why I'm putting this one out today, and then the one for February will be on the last day of February. And that's about it. So I want to start this by kind of talking about, I guess, the symbols of January that I'll be drawing in this. Starting with the character here. He is Janus, the possible namesake, or one of the possible namesakes for the month of January. I'm sorry to anybody who thinks that it's Juno, but the month of June exists, and I kind of wanted to use Juno for that, so Janus is what you're getting. So yes, Janus, the god of time, doorways, and space. He has many faces, at most 4, at least 2. I don't think I've seen any with 3, but just assume that there's another face on the back of his head, okay? Behind him, I'm outlining rather, the constellation of Aquarian, apparently, Capricornus, which is the constellation for Capricorns. I'm using this instead of Aquarius because it's for the first 20 days of January and, 10 days of Capricorn. Or Aquarius. But you can see the legs of the cupbearer for Aquarian at the top of the page. There are a lot of things that I was working on with this drawing. First of all, I was working on drawing the male form. Many of you may already know this, but I'm female. And as an artist, I tend to use myself as reference. So not having had a male body for, my entire life, I find it a little bit difficult to draw. So I was working on that, working on the placement of feet, because that's also kind of difficult for me. And I'm also working on draping fabric, because wrinkles don't make sense to me and I get confused. So for this particular drawing, it's partial reference and partial just creativity that I'm working on. I'm referencing images of togas. I'm referencing, just images of togas, really. And later on, I reference some columns that I changed my mind about because I just wanted to make them cool instead of making them accurate at that point. So Janus, going back to him, he is the many-faced god. He's normally depicted with 2 faces and occasionally depicted with 4. I wanted to do 4 just because I felt like it would be awkward to have 3/4 angles and to try to draw that join. And I really didn't want to have characters kind of looking off into the distance. I wanted a direct eye contact with the viewer for this particular drawing. Don't know why. So for the youthful head, I settled on making him a soldier. The center one, I made him sort of like a politician, and the one on the right I'm not sure, I just made him old. I gave him the headdress that they tend to give the older Janus. The 2 heads on the left, they kind of switch between what that head is, and so I felt comfortable kind of doing it like that. Oh, the toga. it was actually pretty hard to do, just because I don't understand how a toga works. I still kind of don't understand, to be honest. So I, at some point, just kind of gave up on being accurate and was just like, this is where I want my drapes of cloth to go, because I don't know how togas are. I I read the Wikipedia article. And that is actually where I'm getting most of my reference for this series, is from Wikipedia, just because it's easy to have all of the information about the month's namesake and symbols of the month on one page, and just reference from that. I have so many tabs open, you guys. You might see that in the second part of this video, which, apologies, this is going to be a two-parter. I realized that, well, A, my videos are way too long, but B, it's going to take some time for me to color in this artwork, and I'm going to do it using Photoshop instead of doing it on the page like I planned to, just because I had a lot of trouble with the art. So this is just the lining of it, essentially. Me using my pencil instead of a pen for some reason. That's me, basically. I put a lot of pressure down when I line with mechanical pencil, and unless you keep the lead really, really short, it'll just keep snapping. So that is me sort of scratching off the sides so that they're more round and less likely to give me a thin line, which is not what I want. I'm kind of sad a little bit that some of the lines are less stable than I wanted them to be, but I really like the way that they look anyway. In case you're wondering, the toga that he has on, and I'm just gonna call it all togas, even though I know it's not all a toga, but I'm gonna call it that because that's what I need to do. But the toga that he's wearing over his plain white toga is one that, what was it? I think it was politicians and priests tended to wear. I couldn't really find any definite depictions of Janice's body, and so I just was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna put him in a toga. And normally, they would have worn, Romans, by the way, Romans would have worn tunics underneath their togas, but I kind of really liked just the collarbone and shoulder and neck portion of this guy. Like, I never would have imagined that I would be able to put 3 heads on a person and kind of make it make a tiny bit of sense, but I think it makes some sense. This is me struggling over trying to fit the plants that are symbolic of January in this drawing. In the end, I just had to kind of be like, alright, you know what? I'm gonna just put them somewhere else. Because when I was starting this, I really wanted to add a lot to it, and then I realized at this point it was just kind of getting very crowded. I wanted to add lines to the columns to make them look more like Doric columns, which have, flutes, I guess is the best way to put them. Flutes on the side, fluting? I don't know. But my general straight line writing process was not working, and so I just had to be like, okay, no lines for me. If I do choose to put lines on them, I will put them on in Photoshop later. By the way, in case you were wondering, because you will see this several times later, my method of drawing straight lines is to anchor the side of my hand on the page and keep it there as I go up and down, and side to side. So I decided instead of trying to put bushes on the side that I was going to kind of put, if anybody's seen Princess Mononoke, I was going to treat Janice like the god of the forest from that. So the flowers just kind of appear in his footsteps and die as he leaves, because he's the god of life and death. So I thought that was cool and wanted to bring that in. That black smudge is from when I found out one of my pens was broken by opening it over my drawing. Don't do that, guys. Oh, no, I didn't realize I was off screen. Oh, but I'm back on. That's me trying to do straight lines for my my columns. It was not my friend. And I think it's just because some days my hands don't really cooperate with me, it feels like. They don't have a good grip, or you know, I'll try to do something and it feels like they're weaker, so I just kind of wasn't able to get the straight lines that I normally do. So I will be talking more about the stones in the columns in the coloring portion of this, I guess, video series, but those are garnets. And the portion of time where I was off camera, I was searching around for a compass, basically. I did not find one. I used a headband to make the lines for the top of the column. And that's it, I guess. This is the pencil drawing portion of me doing Janice, and in the next video, I will be coloring it in Photoshop, so stay tuned, I guess? I don't know. Have a good day.